Hello lovely people, my name is Dadaba Flepa, and today we are going to talk about the documents needed in the Flussi 2025 application. We've said it already that this year the government is very serious. They have so many things in place, so you can't do it anyhow. So the documents needed or the requirements that you are supposed to have to be able to apply for the Flussi. Let's get right into it. Now, before we go on to the documentation, there are a few details that I believe everybody should know. Now, the Italian government, the idea behind this whole Flussi is to bring people into the country for the people to come and work. When they come and then they get a job and then they come and then they are doing the work that you declared that they would come and do, they pay their taxes, and then that is how the government gains. So the government gains through taxes. You, the employee, also work, you get your money, and then the employer also gets his money back. So that is how it works. So for anybody to charge you any extravagant amount, any huge amount, all in the name of they are doing the Flussi for you, please be careful. It is between the person applying for you and then the person being applied for. It has nothing to do with the government. The government is not going to charge you anything for bringing the person into the country. Obviously, you are going to pay for your own application fee in your country, plane tickets and all. Those are extra costs. But then what the government requires here in Italy during the Flussi period is only your Marca da bollo. They are not charging any extra amount. What they are going to gain later is when the person comes, they start work and they pay their taxes. Please note this. If you are applying for the Flussi or you are being applied for, if you are in Ghana or you are in Africa and someone is applying for you and then bringing you, any amount that the person decides to charge you is between you and the person. If you watch my previous video, I told you that people see business opportunities in anything. So this is one of the things that the Italian government is trying to get rid of. People charging extravagant amounts to bring people into the country, then they don't care about them anymore. So secondly, you should know that when you bring someone into the country through this Flussi, you are supposed to work with the person for at least a year. At least. So if you declare that the person is coming to do a domestic work and then they come into the country, you don't get to change their contract after one month or 2 months. They work with you for at least a year. So they pay their steady taxes, they keep the contract and everything that you declared for at least a year. So please know this. Most of the times when people get their permesso soggiorno, the employers normally tell them go look for another job. This time around, the government is saying no. When they come, they work for at least a year. So please, if you are not willing to go through all this, do not even get yourself into it in the first place. And then one thing that you are supposed to also know, that this Flussi application doesn't apply to any member of your nuclear family. If you're a woman and then you intend to bring your husband here through the Flussi, it is not possible. At least if you are legally married, it's not possible. Unless maybe you are not legally married, then you can work and bring the person as a worker. They can't come as your husband. If they are coming as your husband or as your wife or as your children, then they will have to go through the family reunion process, get a visa, and then come. Please note these things. If the person is part of your nuclear family as your wife or your husband or your child, you can't file for them through the Flussi. Why? Because the Flussi is only for people who are coming as workers. Please know this too. And then regarding the lavoro domestico, that is the domestic workers, when you bring the person into the country, yes, they can go and stay somewhere else. They don't necessarily have to stay with you, but they would have to work in your house. Because if you say you are bringing someone to come and work in your house and they stay somewhere, it makes sense. But then their work that they do should be in your house. So please know this. When you declare that the person is coming to do lavoro domestico for the next 1 year or for the next year that the person gets here, they work for you at your place. So the residence that you declare, that is where the person works. You don't get to change it after a month or 2. So please keep this information in your head whilst you are doing the application. And the last thing you are supposed to know also as we proceed is every person that is willing to apply for the code gets the opportunity to bring at most 3 people. Normally, in the previous years, people bring multiple people. They don't care about where they work. I think I said in my first video. But then this time around, you get to bring the maximum of 3 people depending on the code that you have. The least that you are supposed to have on your code, I said in my previous video, is 20,000. 20,000. So if you have 20,000, you can bring one person. The higher your could, the higher your possibilities of bringing multiple people. Thank you. Let's proceed. Now let's move on to the documents needed in this Flussi process. These documentations are divided into two. One for individuals who are bringing other people to come and work for them. So if you are an individual, these are the documents that you will need. One is for the individuals, and then one are for companies or agencies that are bringing people into the country. So the individuals, if you're an individual, these are the documents that you will need. Now the very first one you need is your SPID. Your SPID is what Italians call Sistema Pubblico di Identità Digitale, meaning a system that has your digital identity recognized. Almost everybody in Italy now has the SPID. Why? Because the government requires it. When you go to an office and then they ask you for your SPID, once you give it to them, they have everything they need about you. So that is going to be the number one requirement. Number two is what they call the PEC. PEC, Posta Elettronica Certificata. What is it? It is more like sending a letter to you, but this time around it is certified. So Posta Elettronica Certificata, meaning when someone sends you something and then you receive it, it sends a confirmation to the person that sent it to you that you have received it, and that it also works with also you. When you send something to someone, it sends you a notification that the person has received whatever you have sent. So all those ones that they send letters and then it takes days, no, they are not doing those things anymore. So the first two requirements are all digital. So as I said initially in my previous videos, the government is very serious this time around and they are not joking around. So you need a SPID and then you need a PEC. And then the next document that you will need is your Marca da bollo of 16 euros. 16 euros. There are various types of Marca da bollo, but then this time around, the one that you need in this particular documentation is 16 euros. That you can get in any tabaceria. The next document that you will need is the person that you are filing for. The person's passport. So the person sent you their passport of the page that has all their details. The page that has their name, their date of birth, their place of issue, the passport number, everything. That particular page, you will need it in this particular process. The next document that will be needed is the address of the person that is applying for the Flussi. So if you are the one doing it, your address will be needed and then it has to be verified. The next one will also be what they call the alloggio. Now, what that means is when someone comes into the country, and then you have declared that they are coming to work for you. As I said, this document applies for the people who are doing it privately, independently. So if the person is coming and they are coming to work for you, you will have to declare that the person that is coming to work for me, this is where they are going to stay. That is the meaning of alloggio. It might not necessarily be your house. It can be the house of someone else or another place. But then it will have to be verified to know that the person's living conditions is good. That the person that is coming into the country to come and work is not just coming for the work, but then he has somewhere that they are going to stay and then somewhere that they are going to work. They don't want people to be stranded. So please, for you to be able to apply for this year's Flussi, you need an alloggio. And that is where the person that is coming is going to stay. I hope you understand. Now, you, the employer, this one has two phases. It depends if you have the permesso soggiorno or you have the Italian citizenship. If you have the Italian citizenship, all you will need is your ID card and then your codice fiscale. But if you have the permesso soggiorno, you will need your permesso soggiorno, your passport, your ID card, and then your codice fiscale. Please don't miss anyone. If you have the Italian citizenship, only your ID card and then your codice fiscale. But if you use the permesso soggiorno, you will need the permesso soggiorno. If it is expired, the receipt, then your codice fiscale, your ID card, and your passport. So please note this ones. The next document is you are supposed to go to Centro per l'Impiego and then get a paper called Modulo ANPAL. This is how the paper looks like, Modulo ANPAL. With this one certifies that you, the person that is bringing someone from outside to come and work, you've not been able to get anyone else to do the work for you. That is why you are applying to bring someone else. So with this paper, you certify that, yes, I'm looking for someone to work with. I didn't get anyone, so I will have to bring someone from outside. Now, that is why this paper is necessary. Now, the next document also is, I spoke initially about the CUD. The list of the CUD is supposed to be 20,000, and this is what it means. If you are a single person that is trying to bring someone to come and work for you, what do I mean by single person? Legally, you don't have any children attached to you. You don't have a wife or a husband attached to you. So according to the Italian law, you are single, you live by yourself, and then you have no one that you are taking care of. You need a minimum of 20,000 to be able to apply for the CUD. That is, if you have no one living with you, you are not responsible for anyone, you are responsible for yourself alone. If your CUD is up to 20,000 or more, you can apply for the Flussi. And then if you are someone that is responsible for someone, you are legally married, and then you have children that you have even documented for, you need at least 27,000 euros of CUD before you can apply for the Flussi. The higher your CUD, the higher your possibility of bringing people. So if you are single and then you have no responsibilities, 20,000. But if you are married with a child or children, you need at least 27,000 to be able to apply. So please note this. The last document for people that are applying solely, the last document needed is what Italians call consenso, that you accept that you are bringing someone to come and work with you. These are the documents necessary for single people. What I mean by single people is that if you are a person bringing someone to come and work with you, these are the documents, and then you are not a company. Now, if you have a company that is willing to bring people into the country to come and work, the documentations are different. But these ones that I gave are for people that are bringing people into the country by themselves. These are the necessary things. I hope you get it clear. Please, if you have any question, you can let me know in the comment section and I can point you the right direction. I'll show you what to do. Thank you. Now, if you happen to be a company, or you happen to have a company, or you happen to find someone that has a company that wants to help you to apply for this Flussi, these are the documents that you will need to add to the ones that we said already. You are not going to bring in new documents, but you are going to add these ones to the ones that you already had. Why? Because this time around, you are not bringing them as a person by your own self, you are bringing them through a company. Number one, the company will have to declare how many people they already have working for them, so that at least it gives them credibility. You can't tell me that you have a company and then no one works for you. So you have to declare how many people already work for you. That is the first thing. Number two is also the CUD. The company also has a CUD, so they call it Modello Unico. Now, with the Modello Unico, they need 3 years of CUD, 2022, 2023, and then 2024. So when you have these ones, you put them together and then you add them to the previous ones that we said. Number three. Now, number three is what is called the bilancio. That is what declares the company's income and then the company's expenses. So how much the company makes and then what the company is spending. That is also needed. So if a company is willing to help you or your agenda is willing to help you, they will need to give you their bilancio. Number four is what Italians call the DURC, D-U-R-C. That is what declares their taxations, whether they pay their taxes regularly. So when they give you that document, together with all those things. Now, as I said in the video previously, that the system is already going to be put in place. So when you put in all these details, it already gets checked. And if everything is okay, it gives you the go ahead. If something falls short, you don't even get to proceed. So these are all documents that are very necessary in this year's application of the Flussi. Number five. Now, every company has what is called the visura commerciale. That is also going to be necessary. Now, these are the 5 documents that you will need to add to the ones that I mentioned previously for you to be able to apply for this year's Flussi. Now, as I said initially, make sure you have everything in place. Now, take 2 things into consideration. I spoke about the Modulo ANPAL that you will have to go to the Centro per l'Impiego and take. That one will take you an extra week. And then working your own way around the alloggio. That is, if the person is not coming to stay with you and then they will have to go and stay somewhere, you will have to find a time to go and look for a place for them to stay. So that one might take you some time. So don't think because it is taking the whole month of November to fill in the documents, it's that long. If you intend to apply, you will have to start working now so that by the end of November, you have your alloggio, your modulo and everything in place so that at least when you put in the request, you will not be denied. Thank you very much. My name is Dadaba Flipper. As I said, if you've not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so. Let's grow together. Now, every list of documents that I mentioned, I'll put it in the video description. So when you go there, you see everything. If you need help, write it in my comment section. I'll try my best to help you or point you the right direction. Thank you very much. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.